Cheers. Okay, so I want to talk about the Xbox Series S. Since it's the first time I've hopped onto this system in actually a couple months. I've had it for quite some time, going back to, I don't know, like 2021 or so. But this is my first time playing it in a couple months, mainly because what was it, last week maybe? The PlayStation Network went down. And while I typically play all my games on PlayStation, as well as PC, I wanted to play console and the PS Network was down. So naturally I picked up my Series S again to play some games. And it actually impressed me considering this thing is the size of a flippin' cereal box. And it just sort of brought back how impressive this thing really is. Now, full disclaimer, I do have a bit of a soft spot for this console, and it sounds pretty corny, but back in 2021, when I was, a first-time dad, I just had my kid, I was convinced to be a super dad, I had to, quit gaming and all that fun stuff, which is wrong. So if anybody's a new dad and you thought about quitting gaming, just don't. Now, I was miserable, and my wife convinced me to pick up a game console instead of just, trying to play PC with a baby, which isn't really that easy. And I ended up getting the Xbox Series S. Now, the thing about it is that it made me fall in love with console gaming all over again, completely. And not just console gaming, but gaming as a whole. Yeah, super corny, probably irrelevant to majority of people that would click on this video. And yeah, sure, obviously it's not the most powerful console at all, considering, the PlayStation 5 Pro exists, PCs exist, the Xbox Series X exists, but all the same, I really do like this console, and it really has impressed me just hopping on it once again. This system as well is pushing, I don't know, like what, 4 or 5 years old at this point. So it's far from, I guess, up to date or new gen at this point. Let's just call it the most recent gen. But today I sort of want to talk about the Series S in my super non-technical methods. So this isn't really, a super tech review, but more so my review of my experience with the Xbox Series S going into 2025. Now, I've mentioned this in other videos in the past, but for all the fanboys out there who, love to just shit on Xbox or PlayStation or consoles in general, here's the thing. I just do not care if you hate on consoles and PCs. I have my PlayStation, I have my gaming PC. They're all great systems, and it could just be because I'm at a different stage in life right now, which I'm sort of going to touch on closer to the end of this video, I guess. But the Xbox Series S does an incredible job for what it's supposed to, and it's not trying to be some super overlord of a system, but man, is it still a damn good system. Now, apart from all of that, as for what this Xbox gives me that's so impressive and stuff, I can't say it's a specific one thing, but more so a mixed bag of things that sort of just combine into this awesome overall experience. The first thing is 1440p at 120 hertz. That might not sound as impressive now, the way hardware goes. Even 4 years ago when this thing came out, it was a little bit more impressive than I'd say now. All the same, it does give you 1440p at 120 hertz, which I still think is an incredible starting point and most definitely a sweet spot for a lot of ongoing gamers, if not new gamers. And the asterisk on that whole thing is the fact that this thing is what, like 250 bucks? You can even get them used for like 150 bucks. The price point as for what you're getting for 1440p 120 hertz is simply bonkers. Now sure, 1440p isn't particularly the latest and greatest when it comes to graphics, and most people love playing on 4K. Frankly, I love playing on 4K resolutions. And when you hop into a game on the Series S, and then of course this is going to be dependent on the game you're playing, sure, maybe the image might look a little bit soft at the get-go, but then you sort of just get into your game and then you stop noticing. So yeah, you'll notice and then you sort of don't, if that makes sense. Assuming you're playing a decent enough game that you're having a good enough time, graphics should technically come second to the actual gaming experience, but maybe that's just me and I'm talking out of my ass, but yeah. But I think graphically this still holds up incredibly well even by today's standards. Now, one of the games I'm really enjoying, especially at the 120 hertz, would be Marvel's Rivals, which I love to hop on in the evenings with some of my buddies, which is a bit of a rare occurrence now that we're all in our 30s. I'm sure some folks can relate to that. But when I do, I pop off and it really is a good time. Honestly, it's just easy to load up the game, hop in Discord right off the bat through the console, and away you go. Now, separate to that, the second thing that really impresses me on the Xbox Series S is going to be Game Pass. The entire time I've had this console, I haven't particularly felt compelled to actually purchase games. Obviously, you would have to do it digitally since there's no disc drive or anything like that, but I haven't felt compelled to actually purchase any games because Game Pass simply gives me everything I need from a game standpoint. Literally what I'm playing right now is this dumbass game called Maneater, which I found on Game Pass back in 2021 or 22, and you're just playing as a shark, eating shit, leveling up, getting stronger. It is the dumbest flipping game, but it is just such silly fun, and I 100% of this game back then, and I'm playing it again now. So yeah, play Maneater if you haven't yet. And if you do have any other suggestions on what I can play instead of playing through this game an entirely second time, let me know some other Game Pass suggestions so I can enjoy one of those too. Now, if anybody else is also on Xbox, I'll leave my gamer tag somewhere here. I'm not even joking. Actually add me and we'll just play. Feel free to invite me or just say what's up. We can hop on Call of Duty, which again is on Game Pass day one, which was totally flipping badass. And we can hop in a lobby and hear about all the awful things people want to say about our moms. Still, again, I haven't bothered to buy Call of Duty because it's on Game Pass. And honestly, it's almost a better value than the system itself. Or so I think, at least. Let me know what you guys think about Game Pass. It sort of sounds fanboyish. Is the Xbox Series S perfect? No, absolutely not. There are some shortcomings, which I'll sort of touch on, but it does an incredible job so far. Now, that said, this system, one of the things I want to talk about is simply how portable it is. It is incredibly tiny. With that, I'm always torn whether or not I love playing, on a TV setup like this or in a desk setup. So I'm actually going to toss this back into a desk setup for the first time in a long time because I have some other things that I wanted to sort of throw into that desk setup that I've been sitting on for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and take you guys along for that and let me know what you guys think. Okay, so I largely don't really showcase this little corner. Let me zoom out a bit actually. I don't normally showcase this little corner of my basement because this is just a desk setup that I use when I'm doing online courses and stuff. But I figured, you know what, hey, I might as well put the Series S into this setup because I can, and it's really tiny. The reason I don't really use this space much is because it's so dark and there's not much lights that I can put here. Of course, there's the big light. But if anybody knows anything about trying to have a cozy space, it's pretty much you never use the big light. So I've had these speakers for like 3 or 4 months. I've never had a chance to actually set them up. I don't know why I didn't think to put them here. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now, as well as the Xbox Series S. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up and let me know what you guys think of this setup. All right, so I've got this whole thing set up now, and I'm very happy with it. Let me know what you guys think. Honestly, the Xbox Series S is just so flippin' tiny, and it fits in this setup beyond perfectly, and I'm happy with how this turned out. It just looks incredible. Now, I was mentioning before, some of the lighting in this space is pretty dark, actually. So there's a couple things I did here. Like I mentioned, these speakers, which, mind you, are total overkill. The size of these things, the sound of these things is bonkers. These can actually attach to become a sound bar. Not that I'm going to do that in this setup, but they are flipping incredible. And yeah, it does give me that RGB, which I can sort of change to whatever color I want to. So I really appreciate that. Now, to get more light as well, I'm a huge fan of monitor light bars. Light bars are just so easy to, add or remove light to a desk setup. So pretty much if there's ever a desk setup, I'm always going to have a light bar. And then these little lamps. Crazy that this is probably one of my favorite purchases of like 2024, 2025. I got like 2 of these for $50, and you just put them wherever you want and charge them with Type-C. And so that's another way I could just move this around to add more light to this little desk setup. It's tiny, it's flipping cozy, and I really dig it. So yeah, that's the desk setup, and I really like it. Let me know what you guys think. My favorite thing here is probably going to be the Series S, obviously, and these flipping speakers, dude. One other thing about this setup too is I want to talk about the monitor real quick, because I don't know why more manufacturers don't make high refresh 4K monitors that are smaller. Like this one's 27 inches, and I think that's pretty much the perfect size. It pairs well for whenever I'm doing any sort of, work during the daytime on my laptop. And otherwise, it's great for 1440p gaming, which is what I really love with the Series S. So yeah, really dig this monitor. This one's really, really affordable from a company called Pixio. So definitely something that I can recommend if you guys are looking to sort of have a bit of productivity and gaming, whether that be 4K or 1440p. So yeah, really, really love this monitor. Now, I do want to bring it back to the Xbox Series S, apart from the setup and stuff, to talk a little bit more about one of the gripes I have with it. And it's, sort of a nitpick versus an actual gripe with the Series S. And that's going to be the 512 gigs of storage that comes with it stock. It's not a lot. And honestly, considering Game Pass exists, it's easy to chew through 512 gigabytes of storage, especially Call of Duty being like 300 gigabytes alone, depending on what sort of content you're installing. Call of Duty, you guys really got to work on the amount of space you guys take on hard drives. But apart from that, again, I used to sort of typically be a 1 or 2 game type of guy until Game Pass was a thing. But with that, it takes a little bit of juggling to get used to the 512 gigabytes of storage. Again, it's not the craziest thing. I'm okay juggling it around. Some people might not. So you might need to either invest in the 1 terabyte Series S or just get a memory card, which can be pretty pricey. That could bump up the price of the system a bit. For me, yeah, not that big of a deal. Some people might not like that though. Still, another thing with Game Pass is that you can do cloud gaming on here. So there are certain games that are going to be really good for playing, as long as you're okay with a little bit of latency. You don't have to install them on your actual Series S. You just play them. Again, if you're okay with a little bit of latency, I think it's good for certain games like, I don't know, The Sims. That's a guilty pleasure of a game of mine, by the way. Sims is flippin' addicting at times. Or this cozy ass game my wife showed me called Unpacking, where you just unpack boxes and organize it into a room. Games like that, you obviously don't need reaction times and all that, so a little bit of latency is perfectly fine when you are cloud gaming. But yeah, so I'm going to leave that there for tonight because it is past my bedtime. I'm going to throw down a little bit of games with the boys, maybe some Call of Duty, and I'm going to jump into more of this tomorrow evening, jumping into my living room setup. Okay, so I want to talk about one feature that sort of just blows my mind, and it honestly kind of makes me feel like an old man living in the future, and that's going to be quick resume. Because honestly, I brought this system upstairs from the basement, plugged it in, and literally my games were still able to be continued on quick resume, which skips all of the load screens, mind you, which is insane to me. So yeah, considering I usually have 15 to 20 minutes of time at the end of each day to sort of play games in the first place, not having to spend 5 minutes of those 20 on a load screen is incredible. So yeah, quick resume is absolutely bonkers. Now, separate from all that, the reason I sort of wanted to bring this console upstairs into my living room is to sort of talk about the UI and stuff, because it's actually pretty awesome considering there's not much like bloatware and all that crap. It's just clean, it's minimal-ish, and it really does a great job at organizing. Plus, you can have a little bit more customization than what I remember on the Xbox. So definitely happy to see that. But one of the things that's particularly awesome about the UI and all that, and the apps and stuff, is that this thing's only like, what, $50 more than an Apple TV? And you get, a whole bunch of gaming if you want to, and all the other apps that you might want, like you would have on Apple TV. So definitely an awesome option for anybody who's looking for like an all-in-one media console. The Series S is incredibly affordable. This one's for my media nuts. It even still handles Dolby Vision, which is pretty kick-ass when it comes down to media. So if you care about that, the Series S has it. So definitely another +1 in my books. Now with that, I've done an incredible job at actually slowing down this year, whereas I'm sort of just chilling more, working a little bit less, trying to actually, watch my shows and play some games and stuff. And I've been really enjoying Dragon Ball Daima. With that, I just watched the last episode, and if you saw that was flipping great if anybody else cares about Daima. But I know the show's coming to an end in like, a week or two or something. So if anybody has another anime suggestion, please let me know, because I'm going to want to watch something after this. Now, back to the Xbox, I want to talk about the controller. And honestly, it's just fine. This is coming from somebody who's, myself, I'm a bit of a DualSense fanboy because of all the bells and whistles that DualSense has, the speaker, the haptics, and all that stuff. This controller, it's, there could be more to it. I could want some of those features, but it just simply works. I can't really complain about it. That's just more so a nitpick by comparison. I will say the battery lasts a hell of a lot longer without the built-in microphone and speakers and all that. So if that's something that you care about, it's pretty badass. Yeah, the battery lasts flipping forever. Overall, the controller is just fine. But what is more than just fine is the actual overall experience I find with the Xbox Series S and consoles in general, honestly. I mean, back in the day, if you wanted to sort of cross-play with your buddies, or if some of them are on, PC and you're on console and you want to hop on Discord, you had to do some janky stuff with one earbud in your ear through your phone or something. But now it's all directly through the system. And I really, really appreciate that because all of my buddies are pretty much on PC and I'm the only one on console. And for myself, I just got to hop on, turn on my system, hop in Discord, and we're playing in 5 minutes. And I really dig that. And it never used to be that way. So I really like where it is right now. And the same thing goes for like all the music and video apps and stuff, like I mentioned, watching any sort of media. This has a ton of native apps, and I really dig the apps like Spotify and Apple Music, where I can sort of just vibe out with my family or by myself and just listen to music on my big screen. I really do dig it. So I'm happy the apps on here are good. And the overall experience when it comes down to the UI and Xbox is definitely 10 out of 10 for user experience. So kudos to Microsoft or Xbox or whoever else. As an all-in-one media setup for like what, $250, $299, definitely a good buy. Okay, I'm back in my basement now because I didn't want to wake up my sleeping children. I was getting a little too into my Call of Duty. For me, with a system like this, again, I don't particularly chase specs, but I most definitely appreciate them. In my instance, I have PlayStation 5s and PS5 Pros and an insane PC with an RTX 4090. I love all that the power that those can give me, but those should technically make my Xbox Series S absolutely obsolete, really, if you think about it. But in my case, it somehow just doesn't. And it sort of just comes down to the overall experience that the Xbox Series can provide me in my current lifestyle. Honestly, as an entire package, this system has so much to offer, it's kind of crazy, honestly, if you think about it. Things like Game Pass, the portability, the performance that it gives to the size of it, not to mention me simply just wanting to play my Series S because I literally just want to. Now, as I get a little bit older, getting into my 30s and all that, I don't know if that makes me a senior citizen in the world of gaming, but my lifestyle changes, my priorities change, what I care about changes, I guess. And yeah, while I love bleeding edge tech and reviewing all the latest and greatest things, OLED monitors, PS5 Pros, huge PCs and all that, at the same time, I really still appreciate tech like this when I see it for what it is and not expect more than what it's supposed to give me. And that sort of sounds like a cop-out almost, but I think that's okay because the Series S, again, is just going to be so incredible for so many people out there, even if it's not right for a lot of people at the same time. For me, at least, if I just want to game and I happen to sit in this chair and this system is right here and I want to just flip it on and get going, I'm okay to do that. And even if it doesn't look as good as something else, it's still going to give me a good time, and I'm not going to let other people sort of talk me out of enjoying the games I want to play. And what I mean by all this, honestly, is that the Xbox Series S is an absolutely incredible system, and some people love it and some people love to hate it. And between all that, I don't really think it particularly matters because honestly, like the mom or the dad who wants to buy their 8-year-old their first game console, this is going to be it. I don't even think the 8-year-old will care that it's a Series S unless they're super spoiled or something. And then there's the tired ass dad with like 16 minutes of time that they can use to game at the end of a long day, and they might not care about all that other stuff and they simply want to game. Spoiler, I'm that tired ass dad, and I really like the Series S for all that it has to offer, and the fact that it brings the entire gaming experience closer to the PC experience overall. That, and just like with any other console, when I turn this thing on, I am literally doing nothing else but actually just relaxing and vibing out and playing music and playing games and watching shows. I'm not getting distracted by emails and any sort of other obligations on here. I am simply going to be gaming and having a good time. With all this, obviously, it sort of sounds like a love letter to the Xbox Series S, and it probably is at this point, honestly, but maybe it just suits my lifestyle more than I thought it would at this point in my life. And I really do appreciate the Series S, as with any console, really. Again, I was talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro the other day in a similar fashion. and I just really dig consoles and what they can provide me right now. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Xbox Series S. If you're thinking about picking one up, even in 2025, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you are, that's what return policies are for. Just return it and buy a PC or a Series X or whatever the hell you want to buy. Either way, don't let anybody talk you out of a good time. This is an awesome system, and happy gaming.